Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to the Road to Rank 1, the series where I break down and analyze high MMR solo queue games. For today's video, I'll be playing as Kerrigan in the Haunted Mines. As we take a look at the final draft for the match, I like to start with something I call analyzing threats. I take a look at the enemy team and make a note of anything that poses a direct threat to my hero, so that I can keep it in mind throughout the whole game. For this game, the first one that popped up was Stitches. I will need to be aware of the possibility of getting hooked, so I'll need to hug minions and structures as much as possible. There's also the potential threat of getting gorged during fights if he decides to go with that talent, which would make me useless for 3.5 seconds. My second threat are movement abilities. Tychus has a dash, Tassadar has his phase shift, and Thrall has Wind Fury for movement speed. If I want to land any of my combos on them, I'll need to play extremely patiently or pick blood for the guaranteed slow. My last threat is Malfurion if he decides to go with Twilight Dream. If I get silenced by this heroic ability right after jumping into a fight, it's not going to end very well for me. With all these things in mind, let's jump into the game. Because this is the Haunted Mines, we immediately send 4 people bottom and 1 person top. You want to send the group of 4 people to the lane where your golem will be spawning from. You can tell this by locating the golem icon that appears on your minimap. Once you're at the lane and the minions have spawned, you want to push it as hard as possible. The idea is to get as much damage on the towers and wall as possible so that you hit level 4 by the time the mines open, and so that your golem goes directly into their fort. You'll see me using my abilities to push the wave and taking tower shots without any worries, as the threat for a fight is almost non-existent. If you have a team that can kill the one person defending, you can get a pretty big advantage this way, but don't sacrifice too much for it. In our case, we had a Tyrande and a Kerrigan to lock down a target, but unfortunately, we were up against a Tassadar, who can be almost impossible to kill. We managed to kill both towers pretty easily, but so had the enemy team. At this point, you usually want to have the one person in the solo lane rotate down to join his 4 teammates so that they all go down together into the mines. Our Tyrande had other plans though. She suggested that we rotated top and gank the 4 enemies pushing. I noticed that my team was committing to Tyrande's call, and so regardless of how stupid I thought it was, I followed as well. As you can see, we ended up killing the Thrall, which gave us level 4 and a man advantage going into the first mines. When you go into the mines, you generally want to head for the 2 big camps first, since they have the most amount of skulls. Because I knew the enemy team would follow behind us, I stayed at the top camp to be able to quickly turn around and help my team. I start the middle camp when I notice my team pinging for help and both Rhaegar and Tyrande moving up to the fight. I immediately stop what I was doing and start heading up to help. Thanks to some amazing body blocks by my teammates, we're able to bring the Stitches down to 50% before any real fighting begins. As you can see, the Malfurion has placed his entangling roots which prevent me from leaping onto the Stitches. Instead, I go for the WE combo, which would land on both Stitches and Tychus, securing the first kill. Now at this point, their team has been split. Tychus and Malfurion were chased off by our Muradin and Rhaegar, and both Thrall and Tassadar are focusing me. The reason I hold my ground is because of healing wards. As you can see, we have 2 healing wards overlapping each other, constantly healing me. I also tried to stand directly on top of one so that it becomes impossible for them to right click on it to kill it. The Tassadar is able to juke our entire team with a beautiful phase shift, but the damage was already done. We killed 3 members and lost nobody, and now the mines was ours for the taking. As we start the golem, we notice that the enemy team started coming down into the mines thanks to the minimap. We decided to focus it down quickly and get as many skulls as we could before they showed up. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough damage to finish it off by the time they did. Let's pause it here. Right now we're in a really bad position. Both teams are level 5, our Vala and Tyrande are the closest people to Stitches, and our tank is the furthest away. Most of our players have very little mana, and the Grave Golem is at less than 10% HP. At this point, the smartest thing would have been to abandon the golem and run away south together, since we had already collected 63 skulls. Instead, we decided to finish off the golem and collect as many skulls as we could before retreating. Somehow, thanks to poor positioning from the enemy, healing from our supports, and landing our CCs, we were able to make it out alive without losing a single person. At this point, you generally want to grab your Giant's Camp to help defend against the Golem, but we were able to catch the Stitches out of position, which allowed us to safely take the Knights. We were now one level ahead of them, the Vala had moved top to defend against their Golem, and the rest of us had grouped bot to push with ours. You have to play extremely carefully when pushing with 4 people, since the enemy can easily collapse as 5 at any point and wipe you out. Since Muradin has a leap and Rhaegar has his Ghost Wolf, I try to stay as far away as possible until my cooldowns come back up. Check this out, all my cooldowns are up and I've been keeping track of the Golem's AoE slam timer. Knowing that it was almost up and seeing how stacked they were near the tower, I try to get them all into a stun within the range of the Golem slam to burst them down. Unfortunately, it was a little early and the Malfurion was able to escape before the slam hit, but I did manage to get the stitches. The Golem ended up finishing the fort as well, which put us at a convincing 2-level lead. Since the Golems had both just died and no other objectives were available, I head over to do our giants. We were now about to hit level 10, so we all grouped up top to fight with disadvantage. Thanks to a kill we get on Malfurion after I landed my combo, we were able to easily push down the outer towers and the wall. Here I'm able to get yet another combo on the Malfurion for a second kill. Filled with overconfidence, we dive deep onto the fort before quickly realizing our mistake. We were all low on health now, some of our heroic abilities were on cooldown, and the mines were about to open. We head down regardless, but our mindset was different. We weren't looking for a fight here, our goal was to get as many skulls as possible before the enemy team could catch up. This changes when our team is finally grouped except for the Tyrande, so we look for a fight before they hit level 10. Pause it here. Now look at this beautiful cluster. The problem is, I'm too far away to leap onto any of them. Luckily for me, Stitches has a huge hitbox. I use my Ravage onto the Stitches and I aim my combo towards the group of players. I'm able to catch the Tychus in it for the kill and the Malfurion dodges it by moving towards us, which also results in his death. At this point we should have just taken our win, killed the Golem and cleared the mines. Instead, I got greedy. Noticing that the Tyrande had chunked down the Stitches, I start chasing him for the kill. Here's the problem, there's a few things that I don't realize when chasing. They've just hit level 10, but more importantly, I don't have enough mana for my combo. You need 180 mana for all 3 spells and I don't realize this until it's too late. And just like that, what used to be a little over a 2-level lead was now a level and a half. My team ends up clearing the mines by killing the Golem, which leaves us at a 69 skull Golem. With a big Golem pushing down bottom lane, we group up just like before, leaving Vala to clear the Golem in the top lane. Knowing that there was no threat of getting gorged and dropped over the wall, I get aggressive looking for combos. Here, the Malfurion lands a huge silence on all 4 of us, causing us to retreat and encourage his teammates to move forward. That also meant they were now grouped, allowing me to get a huge stun on both Malfurion and the Stitches, who would be finished off by the Golem Slam. As we press forward onto the fort, I see yet another opportunity to land a stun on 2 of them. Unfortunately, I only managed to get the Thrall, but thanks to a beautiful rewind stun lock from Tyrande and Muradin, we're able to secure both kills. We end up taking the fort and backing to base with a 2.5 level lead after that. Now, all we've seen up to this point have been teamfights that go in our favor. The following is what can happen if we start missing spells and getting CC'd. Noticing that Stitches had just missed his hook, Muradin charges forward looking for the fight. The moment I see Malfurion, I begin tunnel visioning on him. That's all I see, an easy prey like he's been all game. I go for the combo on him and guess what? Boom, he dodges perfectly out of the way. Completely throws me off my game. I wait for my rewind to attempt a second combo and bam, another miss. Now we're on the retreat. I'm able to ravage onto the Stitches to save my life and I jump into the mines, leaving my team behind. As a result, we ended up losing 2 players when we should have lost none. When I got up, I see that Tychus pushing by himself, and regardless of having 2 teammates dead, I fully commit on getting this kill. Thanks to the awareness of my other 2 teammates who followed me, we're able to take down the Stitches. At this point, all I saw was red. We should have retreated, but I couldn't. I had to finish what I started. I was not going anywhere until that Tychus was dead. Guess what? He didn't die, and I did, leaving my team down a man when the mines had just opened. Thanks to my tunnel vision, carelessness, and greed, we were up only 1 level now. Somehow, thanks to some amazing rewind stun locks from Tyrande and Muradin and excellent positioning by Vala, my teammates managed to kill 4 of them without losing a single one. This resulted in us getting a 78 skull golem and every single mercenary camp on the map. Now with the golem pushing down their nexus, we decide to take the safe route and clear the top exposed fort. While we could have probably finished the game there, we were done taking risks at this point. The game was ours to lose and we weren't going to let that happen. There's absolutely nothing wrong with playing it safe and taking it slow in solo queue. As we pressed onto their fort, my tunnel vision struck again the moment I spotted that Tychus. Even though we end up trading 2 for 1 plus the fort, I should have just simply focused down the fort and let Muradin initiate that fight. My teammates managed to get some damage on the core before getting chased out by the entire enemy team. Little did they know, I had just respawned and I was on my way to joining my team. I hide in this bush and I wait for my opportunity to pounce. Noticing that Tassadar was moving towards me and that he could reveal my location with Oracle, I go for the Thrall instead of the Tychus, saving my Ravage to jump on him if he manages to get away. Now instead of tunneling onto the Tychus like I had been, I back away towards my team's healing wards, giving my Rhaegar enough time to hit me with ancestral healing. We end up fighting a total of 3 kills that allow us to push on to their palace and finish the game. To recap on what happened that game, I had a very strong early game in the lane and in the first mines. I landed some nice combos with a Golem Slam, I listened to my team in situations I didn't agree with, and then I got a few picks on the enemy Malfurion that allowed us to push towers. Later on though, I got overconfident thinking that Malfurion was an easy target. He outplayed me and made me go on tilt for most of the remainder of the game. As a result, I tunnel visioned onto Tychus way too much, leading to unnecessary deaths. After a game like this, even though you just won, I suggest you take a break, clear your mind, come back later or the next day. Thanks a lot for watching the first episode of Road to Rank 1, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, and you'd like to see more episodes with different heroes, let me know by liking the video or leaving a comment below. As always, don't forget to have fun.
You are not prepared!